Hello everyone! Today I am making tofu from lentils, and although it feels and acts the same way as tofu, it's not actually made the same way. Here you can see it on my salad, and here is a nice crisp piece I fried up with teriyaki sauce. Delicious! If you're allergic to soy products or you just want to change things up, this recipe is really simple. And it uses all of the lentils, which is why it's not really tofu, which is when you squeeze out the liquid from the pulp and then boil up the liquid part only. In contrast, this method uses everything. You get something like tofu. Some people compare this to polenta, but whatever you call it, it's really easy to make. This is a 1 pound package of red lentils. That's 454 grams according to the package. If you use this whole package according to the nutritional facts, there are 14 servings in the bag. So 454 divided by 14 servings gives me 32.4 grams per serving. I measured out a cup of red lentils. That came to 182 grams. So according to the nutritional facts on the package, that would be considered 5.6 servings at 70 calories and 80 grams of protein per serving. So if I multiply 5.6 servings times 70, I get 392 calories for this entire finished block of tofu. And 5.6 servings times 8 gives me 44.8 grams of protein in this entire block of tofu. I ended up cutting the finished block into 28 very large cubes. So each cube is 14 calories and 1.6 grams of protein, and that's before frying it up, of course. If you want this to taste really good, you either have to add seasoning to the batter when you're blending it up, or fry it up with your favorite sauce. I used teriyaki sauce from a bottle, and it was delicious. Back to making this, it is really very simple. First, you measure out the dry ingredients. I measured out a cup here, and so now I'm going to rinse this off, and make sure you rinse your lentils very well. I do it until the water runs clear. You see at the beginning it's a little foamy and cloudy, so keep rinsing until it's clear. You can use a strainer to make the rinsing easier, except then you really can't see when the water is running clear like you do in a bowl. You can see at this point the water is much clearer than it was when I first started. I do this until I'm satisfied or tired, and then pour it all off into a strainer and give it a final rinse. You see how with the strainer you can't see if the water is running clear or not. Okay, so now I'm done rinsing, and here you can see how clear the water is now. Even when I stir the lentils around, the water still is clear, so I think I'm done rinsing. Now I'm going to soak these for a couple of hours or even overnight. Make sure to soak the lentils at least 2 hours, but overnight is better. So to soak these, just cover the lentils with at least twice as much water as there are lentils. I make sure the water covers the lentils by at least an inch or more. Don't worry, we are going to toss this water and start with fresh water after soaking, so the exact measurements here are not that important. I soak these in the refrigerator, especially if I'm soaking overnight or if the weather is hot and humid. But to be safe, keep the lentils in the refrigerator while they are soaking. Here you can see if the camera will focus properly and if I can keep the lentil on my finger without dropping it. But the raw lentil before soaking, that's the one on the left, is about half the size of the soaked lentil. Can you see it? Next, I drained the water out from the bowl, and I forgot to film that part, and then dumped the drained lentils into a blender. This is a high-speed Vitamix blender, but any blender should work. It just might take a little longer to blend. So dump everything in and now add water and spices if you want. I added 2 cups of water, 8-ounce cups or 236.5 milliliters. And I set the blender on high, which of course splashed it all up into the cap. And after scraping down the sides, I added half a teaspoon of salt and gave the blender another whirl. You can add more salt if you want, but since I'm going to marinate this in teriyaki sauce, it'll be salty enough, so the extra salt at this stage really isn't that necessary. Now, if you're not going to marinate and fry this up with sauce, then I suggest adding 1 teaspoon of salt and maybe some herbs or red pepper flakes, whatever makes you happy. So once it's all blended up, it's time to heat it up in a skillet, and it looks a bit runny now, but as it's heating up, the batter will thicken up, so make sure to keep stirring and stirring until the batter is nice and thick. I'm using a wooden paddle here because this pan doesn't like metal utensils, but if you do this in a stainless steel skillet, then use a metal whisk and it will work much better for you. Because of the non-stick coating of this pan, the sides and bottom developed a film that got stirred into the batter, making it somewhat chunky. You'll get much smoother results with a heavy-bottomed stainless steel skillet rather than a non-stick skillet like this one. In any case, it worked out just fine. You can do this in the microwave if you don't have a stovetop. Just pour the batter in a microwave-safe dish, preferably the same dish you'll use to mold it. A glass Pyrex dish is perfect for this. After stirring and stirring and stirring, my stovetop batter got thicker and thicker until it was a nice, thick, glossy consistency, like you see here. Sort of the consistency of cake frosting. Now you just need to pour it into some sort of a mold. This glass Pyrex dish is perfect for the amount I made. This is a 6-cup or 1.5 liter Pyrex dish, just perfect. Now you need to let this firm up in the refrigerator for a minimum of 2 hours, but longer is better. The longer you let it sit, preferably overnight, the firmer this will get. By the way, you don't need to oil the glass Pyrex dish. The tofu should pop out very easily. And here it is the next day, and 1 or 2 whacks on my cutting board, and the tofu slides out easily. If you don't like the consistency of the tofu, you can play around with the ratio of water to lentils. Less water will give you a firmer tofu. More water will make the tofu softer and spongier. For me, this is the perfect ratio. 2 cups of water to 1 cup of soaked lentils. And look at that gorgeous salmon color. And I'm going to change that color right now. And I'm going to use this teriyaki sauce. After cutting the tofu up into cubes, I let it marinate in the teriyaki sauce in the refrigerator for around an hour. Here I am frying up the tofu in some olive oil in the same non-stick skillet I used before, and you'll have to flip the tofu cubes around to get it browned on all sides. You can also bake these in the oven, and that way you'll use less oil, or better yet, pop them in the air fryer. They come out really nice and crispy in the air fryer. And here is the finished product. Crispy and delicious, especially on a salad, but even plain. The teriyaki gives it a very nice flavor. Here's a beautiful salad I made for myself. I topped it off with the lentil tofu, and yum! You can't beat that for a good, wholesome lunch. I hope you enjoyed this recipe. Thanks for watching. Bye!